It's Pete from Cheap Homesteading, and today I wanted to show you what I got at Value Village. Value Village is a thrift store chain, and they're up in Canada. They might be in the States too. It's a charity owns it. And every time I go there, I kind of look around the guy section, you know, like the hardware section, the fishing, the sports, that kind of stuff. And last time I went, I found two nice old vintage fishing rods. And I've been kind of on a hunt to look for some vintage fishing tackle, fishing rods, all that kind of stuff, because I really miss getting out and fishing. Because you know what, I kind of got away from it with the homestead because you got so much other stuff to do. But I thought, you know what, make a little block of time every Saturday morning, just a couple hours, go out fishing, and then I'll still have time to come back and do work on the homestead. Because you know what, you kind of miss those days. I used to love going out fishing, so I thought, you know what, I'm going to make a good effort to actually get out and do some fishing this year. So I love vintage stuff, so I really look at garage sales and thrift stores for anything that's kind of vintage. And I've been on the hunt lately to try to find some vintage fishing equipment. You know, stuff that my dad would have used or I would have used when I was a kid. And I thought, you know what? It would be really cool if I just get a bunch of old vintage fishing equipment, go out fishing with it. So I went out and I decided to take a look at the thrift stores and see if I could find some vintage fishing gear that I can actually go out and use. I found two fishing rods that were absolutely outstanding at Value Village. I was pretty happy to find them. And I found one on Kijiji, which was just spectacular. So I'm going to show you. So the first reel, I got a Shakespeare 2602. I don't know anything about this reel specifically. I looked online and I really can't find the year it was made or anything. So if anyone knows about this reel, leave a comment in the comment section. If you had one of these as a kid, kind of roughly around the age of when these were bought new, because there's really not much online with it. So it's a 2602 Shakespeare spin cast. So you know the ones you push the button and it casts. It's all aluminum, so it looks really, really good. So the problem with this one is the button is seized, so the pin that slides up in here is seized in the reel. So we're probably going to try to pull this apart sometime and clean it up. But we asked them to drop the price because it wasn't working, so they dropped to $3. So that is an awesome price for a rod and reel that you can actually go out and go fishing with. And I don't mind having to pull it apart because there's nothing really wrong with it. Now the rod is definitely older. It's got the eyelets, but it doesn't have the little nylon or the ceramic piece that slides in them. So my guess is it's in the 70s, maybe early 80s. But super nice. They don't make them like this anymore, and I'm hoping it stands up, but we're going to end up going fishing with it. And it's got nice stainless steel receiver where the rod slides in. So that is the first rod and reel combo I got. So I only paid $7 for this. So the second one I got was a South Bend 25 spin cast. It's got an aluminum front piece to it, but the rest of it's kind of plastic. But the button, everything works. And it's got a nice cork handle on it. The name of the rod is Major Rod, model 265. It's made in Montreal, Quebec. It's a solid fiberglass rod. I don't know if I'm going to use this one. I might save this for the grandkids or something. These old rods and reels are absolutely great. You don't have to spend a ton of money to just get out and fish. So I spent $10 on this one. I spent $7 on that one. And I thought these would be good to leave in the truck, maybe go fishing at lunch, at work or whatever. And I don't have a lot of money in it, so I'm not too afraid of using them, but they have a good look to them anyways. Okay, so the third rod. This rod I spent a bit of money on. I saw it on Kijiji and I just had to buy it. It was kind of an impulse buy, and I didn't even talk the guy down. Normally I talk him down, but this is a nice rod and reel. It's a Shakespeare 1958 Triumph made by Inglis, and it says a Model GK. I tried to find even much information on this. I'm assuming the 1958 is just the model of the reel. It probably was released in 1958, so it probably has maybe a 10-year span, so it could be in the 60s. It is absolutely a beautiful rod and reel. It even comes with a little booklet that they left on the reel. At the very least, this thing was probably sold in the 60s. Just by the color of the rod itself, it's got that nice 60s green. You know, everyone's kitchen was that color, the rods were that color, everything was that green color. So my guess is it was a 1958, but it was probably sold in the 60s. This is a little bit of a bait caster. There's no drag on it. So you use your thumb. But I thought, you know what, this is going to be a whole lot fun. We have brown bullhead in the creek in the spring, and you know, my dad used to fish and he used to call them mud pouts. So I don't know if that's just a local term they use for little catfish and brown bullhead, but that's basically what he used to fish out in the creek. And when he was a kid, he would use a rod a lot like this. So I thought, you know what, it's kind of cool. We'll take out this rod and reel and see if we can catch some brown bullhead in the spring. The rod is actually kind of cool. It's an AFW power fiber rod. I'm assuming it's actually a solid fiberglass rod and reel. Here is the eyelets. It's really, really old school. I'm definitely assuming that that's probably early 60s, my guess anyways. So the rod is in really, really good shape. It's got that nice vintage color to it. So the plan is to get out there and see if we can catch some brown bullhead in the spring with some vintage reels. And then after that, we're probably going to try to catch some pike. We try to get out a few hours each morning, on Saturday mornings anyways, and I'm going to try to bring you along and see if we catch anything. So I'm going to make a video at least fixing that one spin cast rod and maybe cleaning these up and getting them ready to go fishing in the spring. But I'm kind of looking forward to it. You kind of get away from stuff you did as a kid. And you know what? I had a great enjoyment about going fishing. It's one of those things that's hard to learn on the spur of the moment. So you really need to get out there, hone your skills fishing, and keep some of the fish. You know, there's always this catch and release, and that's great. But catch and release isn't going to feed you if you're hungry. So not to say you'll ever need that skill to actually feed yourself, but it's kind of good to know how to do it, especially in the times that could possibly come. And so that's about enough for today, and you guys have a good one.